If you or someone you love has survived a heart attack, the weeks that follow can feel overwhelming. There are medications to manage, follow-up appointments, cardiac rehab, and somewhere in the middle of all of that, someone hands you a pamphlet that says, "Eat a heart-healthy diet," and sends you home. But what does that actually mean at dinner time? When you're tired, when cooking feels hard, when everything you used to make suddenly feels uncertain. That's exactly what today's video is for. Welcome to Eat Well, Age Well. I'm going to walk you through 8 real dinner ideas, practical, genuinely delicious, and grounded in the best available research on what the heart needs most during recovery and long-term prevention. Before we start, one thing I want to say clearly. If you have recently had a heart attack, please work closely with your cardiologist and a registered dietitian. They know your specific situation, your medications, your other conditions, your targets, and nothing in this video replaces that relationship. What this video can do is give you a strong, research-backed foundation to build from. All right, let's get into it. Why dinner matters so much after a heart attack. After a cardiac event, your heart has been injured. It is healing, and your job through food is to create the conditions that support that healing and reduce the risk of another event. The science here is now very clear. In 2022, a landmark 7-year randomized controlled trial published in The Lancet called the CardioPrev study followed 1,002 patients with established coronary heart disease. Half were assigned a Mediterranean-style diet, half a standard low-fat diet. After 7 years, the Mediterranean diet group had a 26% lower rate of major cardiovascular events. That includes heart attacks, strokes, and cardiovascular deaths. That's not a small signal. That's a significant, measurable difference produced by a consistent dietary pattern. And dinner is a significant part of that pattern. The American Heart Association's 2026 Dietary Guidance Update, the most current and comprehensive statement they've issued, reinforces the same core principles: vegetables, fruits, whole grains, healthy protein sources, and unsaturated fats, while limiting sodium, saturated fat, added sugar, and ultra-processed foods. What follows are 8 dinner ideas built entirely around those principles. Dinner number 1. Baked salmon with roasted vegetables and quinoa. For anyone recovering from a heart attack, this is the dinner to start with. Salmon is the single richest dietary source of EPA and DHA, the long-chain omega-3 fatty acids that have the most direct, documented cardiovascular benefit. The American Heart Association has specifically endorsed omega-3 fatty acids at therapeutic levels for secondary prevention in patients with coronary heart disease, meaning exactly the people watching this video. Quinoa instead of white rice matters here. It's a complete protein, it's high in fiber, and it ranks much lower on the glycemic index than refined grains, all of which matter for arterial health and inflammation. The roasted vegetables, whatever you enjoy, whether that's broccoli, bell peppers, zucchini, or sweet potato, add fiber, potassium, and antioxidants that support blood pressure and reduce oxidative stress on the arterial walls. Season the salmon with lemon, garlic, and a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Roast everything at 400 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes. This is a complete, cardiologist-approved dinner that takes 1 pan and less than 30 minutes. Dinner number 2. Lentil and vegetable soup. Do not underestimate soup. Lentils are one of the most heart-protective foods that exist. They are exceptionally high in soluble fiber, plant-based protein, potassium, and folate, a combination that directly supports lower LDL cholesterol, better blood pressure, and reduced systemic inflammation. A large bowl of homemade lentil soup with carrots, celery, onion, tomatoes, and spinach, made with a low-sodium broth and seasoned with garlic, cumin, and a squeeze of lemon, is a meal that checks nearly every heart health box in one pot. The sodium piece is critical here. After a heart attack, most cardiologists will advise keeping daily sodium under 1,500 milligrams. Canned soups, even the ones labeled low sodium, can easily blow through that limit in a single serving. Making soup at home gives you complete control over what goes in. This recipe also reheats perfectly, which makes it ideal for batch cooking. Make a large pot on Sunday, and you have heart-healthy lunches and dinners for several days. Dinner number 3, grilled chicken with Mediterranean salad. Chicken breast is one of the leanest animal proteins available. It's low in saturated fat, high in protein, and forms the foundation of the Mediterranean dietary pattern that the CardioPrev trial specifically validated for secondary cardiovascular prevention. The salad matters as much as the protein here. Build it with dark leafy greens, spinach or arugula, cherry tomatoes, cucumber, red onion, Kalamata olives, and a generous drizzle of extra virgin olive oil with red wine vinegar. Olive oil is not just a neutral cooking fat here. It contains oleocanthal, the compound we've discussed before that works similarly to ibuprofen in reducing inflammation. After a heart attack, chronic low-grade inflammation in the arterial walls is one of the key risks being managed. Extra virgin olive oil is one of the most accessible, well-evidenced tools against it. Skip bottled salad dressings for this one. They're typically high in sodium, refined oils, and added sugar. Olive oil, vinegar, a pinch of dried oregano, and garlic does everything a bottled dressing does, and does it better for your heart. Dinner number 4, turkey and vegetables stir-fry with brown rice. Ground turkey is a practical, affordable, heart-healthy protein that most people already know how to cook. Paired with a colorful mix of vegetables, broccoli, snap peas, bell peppers, mushrooms, bok choy, and a simple sauce made from low-sodium soy sauce, garlic, ginger, and a small drizzle of sesame oil, it becomes a genuinely satisfying dinner with excellent nutritional credentials. Brown rice instead of white rice is the swap that quietly makes a significant difference over time. Whole grains consistently show up as protective in cardiovascular research. They support better cholesterol profiles, lower blood pressure, and reduced inflammation compared to refined grains. The AHA's 2026 guidance specifically highlights choosing whole grains over refined grains as a core feature of heart-healthy eating. The one thing to watch with stir-fry: sauce. Restaurant and bottled stir-fry sauces are frequently very high in sodium. Making your own at home, even a simple one, keeps you in control of the number that most cardiologists consider the most important dietary variable after a cardiac event. Dinner number 5, sardines on whole grain toast with avocado and tomato. This one might sound unusual as a dinner, but hear it out, because it's one of the most cardioprotective meals you can put together in under 5 minutes. Sardines are one of the richest sources of long-chain omega-3 fatty acids, equal to fresh salmon in EPA and DHA content. They're also naturally low in mercury compared to larger fish, which is relevant for people eating fish multiple times per week as part of a recovery diet. And a tin of sardines costs less than $2 at any American grocery store. On a slice of whole grain toast with half an avocado and sliced tomato, you have a meal that delivers omega-3 fatty acids for arterial health, healthy monounsaturated fats from the avocado for LDL reduction, lycopene from the tomato, which is specifically linked to cardiovascular protection, and fiber from the whole grain bread. If you've never tried sardines, the ones packed in olive oil are milder and more palatable than those in water. Start there. Your cardiologist would be genuinely pleased if this made it onto your weekly rotation. Dinner number 6. Black bean tacos with avocado, cabbage, and salsa. Plant-based protein dinners don't have to feel like a compromise, and this one proves it. Black beans are high in fiber, potassium, magnesium, and plant protein, and they contain essentially no saturated fat. Several large prospective studies have linked regular legume consumption to lower rates of cardiovascular disease and mortality. They are a cornerstone of the Mediterranean dietary pattern that CardioPrev validated. Corn tortillas, not flour, keep refined grain intake down. Load them with black beans warmed with cumin and garlic, sliced avocado, shredded cabbage for crunch and extra fiber, and fresh salsa. A squeeze of lime over the top. This dinner is naturally low in sodium if you make the salsa at home or choose a low-sodium jarred version. It's high in fiber, it's satisfying, and it's the kind of meal that can realistically become a regular part of your weekly rotation, which is ultimately what recovery is built on: consistency, not perfection. Dinner number 7. Baked cod with steamed broccoli and sweet potato. White fish like cod doesn't carry the same omega-3 content as salmon or sardines, but it's an excellent lean protein with virtually no saturated fat, and rotating protein sources throughout the week is a sound strategy that avoids over-reliance on any single food. Sweet potato, rather than regular potato, is worth the swap. Sweet potatoes are significantly higher in potassium, a mineral directly involved in blood pressure regulation, and they have a meaningfully lower glycemic index than white potatoes, which matters for anyone also managing blood sugar alongside cardiovascular risk. Broccoli is one of the most nutrient-dense vegetables for cardiovascular health, high in vitamin K, vitamin C, folate, and fiber. Steaming rather than boiling preserves the most nutrition. Season the cod simply: lemon juice, garlic, a small amount of extra virgin olive oil, and fresh herbs. The simplicity of this meal is a feature, not a limitation. Complicated cooking leads to fewer nights of cooking at home, and cooking at home is one of the single strongest dietary habits you can build after a heart attack. Restaurant food and takeout are typically much higher in sodium, saturated fat, and refined ingredients than anything you make yourself. Dinner number 8. Whole wheat pasta with homemade tomato sauce, spinach, and olive oil. Pasta can absolutely be part of a heart-healthy diet after a heart attack, with 2 conditions. It needs to be whole wheat pasta, and it needs to be dressed with the right things. Whole wheat pasta has meaningfully more fiber and a lower glycemic index than regular white pasta. It supports slower glucose absorption and better cholesterol management. The sauce: canned crushed tomatoes, garlic, olive oil, and fresh or dried basil. No jar sauces. They're typically high in sodium and added sugar. Making a simple tomato sauce from canned tomatoes takes about 15 minutes and is dramatically better for you than anything from a jar. Stir several large handfuls of spinach into the sauce in the last 2 minutes of cooking. It wilts down completely and becomes nearly invisible, adding potassium, magnesium, and vitamin K without changing the flavor. Top with a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, not a heavy Parmesan shower, which adds significant saturated fat and sodium. A small amount of Parmesan as a finishing touch is fine if you enjoy it. This dinner is comforting, familiar, genuinely enjoyable, and it fits everything the American Heart Association's latest guidance recommends. The bigger picture. 8 dinners, 8 practical options that fit real life, affordable ingredients, manageable preparation, and flavors that most people actually enjoy. But the principle connecting all of them matters more than any individual recipe. They all prioritize vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats, particularly olive oil and omega-3s, lean or plant-based protein, and low sodium. They eliminate or minimize saturated fat, refined carbohydrates, and ultra-processed ingredients. That's not a specific diet. That's a pattern. And it's the pattern the strongest available evidence from the Lancet, the American Heart Association, decades of Mediterranean diet research, consistently points toward for people who have had a cardiac event. You don't have to cook all 8 of these this week. Start with 1 or 2 that feel manageable. Get comfortable with them. Build from there. Recovery from a heart attack is not a sprint. It's a long-term commitment to giving your heart what it needs every day. Food is one of the most powerful contributions you can make to that commitment. Please continue working with your cardiologist and healthcare team. This video is educational information, not medical advice, and your doctor knows your individual situation far better than any video can. If this was useful, subscribe. We're here every week. Take care of yourself. See you next week.